Welcome to the B-Sides and Beers podcast.
All right, welcome to B-Sides and Beers, episode 11. Tonight we're looking at Face to Face Big Choice from 1995. Tonight we've got our second guest of, I guess, the entire series so far. Let's welcome Shane Collins. He's a professional photographer and a part-time music snob. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
I guess we'll start off in our usual fashion. What are we drinking tonight?
Well, I'm bringing a little bit of Mexico to the show tonight. I got a Modelo special here. Little cerveza.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's my fave. It's my fave.
I'll go next. I got a Juxtapose IPA from Four Winds.
Nice.
Out of
Nice.
Delta, BC.
Cool.
I am decided that I'm going to go through every Phillips tall can that I can find. So I went and I grabbed a whole bunch of other tall cans. So I have the Tiger Shark.
Nice.
And the Tiger Shark
Nice one.
is a tropical alpha beast packed with passion fruit and citrus flavor without the bitter bite. So
Sounds delicious.
yes.
Sounds delicious,
And
man.
I've
Down my
got
hatch.
me a Unibro or Unibrew out of Quebec. It's a French company. Everything on the damn thing is French. But the one that I have tonight is a pairing with Unibrew and Dave Mustaine from Megadeth.
Whoa.
It is a yeah.
Cool.
Check out the cover there. I don't know if you can see it, but
Is that a boat?
no, it's the skull. Yeah, it's hard to see. It's glare. Anyway, it's probably the best.
Oh, there. I thought it looked like a boat on the ocean.
Yeah. So it's
That's sweet.
it's pretty cool. I bought. I've been a fan of Unibrew for, I don't know, probably since 2000 anyway, maybe somewhere around there, 2004, something like that. Drinking it forever, huge fan of it. They've recently, within the past year or two, I think, came out with these mixed 12 packs. So they've got a good assortment of everything. So it's pretty rad. But this is the first time that I've had this Megadeth one. So yeah,
And
cheers.
they're from Quebec.
They're Quebecois. Yep.
And that's
Hey,
Dave
man.
Mustaine approved.
Yeah.
Is that what that means? Yeah.
They must
It
stand
was,
like the Quebec beer.
Yeah, it was. It was brewed at the request of Dave Mustaine, apparently. So
Cool.
Well, he
I thought he
demanded
was
it.
sober.
Yep.
I thought that dude's been sober since the 90s.
doesn't
Not
mean you
anymore.
doesn't mean you can't still make money off of booze, right?
That's right. Whoops.
It's true.
I don't need to drink it as long as the coins come into my
That's true.
pocket.
Mike, I was drinking those Tiger Sharks last night, and they're
Were you?
great. Yeah, they're like under 5%. They're like a 4.7 or something.
Oh, are they? 4.7. That's right.
Yeah, I was just like sitting around the fire drinking a ton of them, and I felt great today.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I can't more like these. Like, I can probably do two of like this size and this type, and then I'm done. Like, I got to switch it to something else. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be like, feel like I ate like 8 loaves of bread.
Right.
Lead.
I'm like that with most beer, though, man. I feel like a pregnant Demi Moore, just sloshing
Whoa.
around. Massive.
Yeah. Wow. There's a throwback.
That's a reference. What magazine was that again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In like 94 or 96 or something like that.
Yeah, man. That's where my memory permanently lives sometimes, back in those
Not a
days.
bad place
I
to
don't
be.
understand though, like how I can drink like 40 beers, a night before when I'm in my 20s and be perfectly fine, and then you get over the age of, I don't know, 35 and you can't process it anymore. It's like shutting down.
Yeah, I don't know Yeah, what is that? That's what unfortunate feels like.
I've given this a lot of thought, and you know what? You want to hear my thoughts on this?
No.
Of course I do.
Sure.
Mike's like, no. You opposite. No. To be honest with you, like I've been drinking a lot of like low gluten beers, and they make a big difference. Yeah. So if I'm drinking a lot of craft stuff, that might be like a higher gluten count. I'll definitely have that like bloated feeling and not feel the greatest the next day. But if I stick to like a Dutch Pils or a German Pils, like I'm usually pretty good the next day.
That's all right.
That Modelo might be pretty low gluten too there.
Yeah, like I could do. Well, I'll probably be able to drink all these, no worries, and not feel like that. But I have another like beer. I don't know, something like Dos Equis or I don't know, some of the other generic beers. Especially if I go to a pub. Oh my god, I go to a pub sometimes and I drink that beer behind the bar. Well, 2 maybe, and I'm done. Done.
I've found I've had to switch to a little higher percentage beers here, just to avoid that bloatedness of having 4 or 5 beer, and then you just kind of feel, like you said, heavy and gross when you can just grab 2 that are higher percent and just be fine and ready for bed. So, and it's kind of funny with this Unibrow stuff. This Megadeth one is the lowest alcohol. The lowest alcohol content here for 4.5%. Most of them are like 8 or 9%. So
that made Dave Mustaine feel better about going sober. Just keep it low, boys, and I'll feel better about it.
Yeah.
Well, we're drinking for taste. That's my Dave Mustaine. I'm drinking for taste tonight. Do you ever notice he doesn't move his mouth when he sings?
I haven't noticed that, but I will look.
God, you'll never unsee it again.
I'm usually focused on his spider chords on his guitar.
Oh my, the spider,
freakishly long fingers.
Yeah. Have you ever been able to pull that off, Mike?
Yes, I have.
Wow.
It's tough. You can't do it for long at all. Your hand starts cramping up and you just want to stop. But I couldn't imagine doing that and having to sing and pulling that off all night. But
he's probably so focused, that's why.
Or he's done it so long that his hand is just kind of stuck in that shape.
Yeah. Dave Mustaine. I hope he's doing better.
What's
up? I didn't hear anything about it.
Oh, he got hit with I think it was throat cancer about a year ago.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, super unfortunate, but I think he's on the mend. I think he's getting better.
I would hope so. Damn, that'd be a rough way.
Dave Mustaine must have smoked, though. He must have smoked. How could he not?
He got sober in like, don't quote me on this, but it was like 95 or something like that. And then he got into martial arts. Like he was super healthy and he's also religious too, apparently. Like he did like a total 180.
It was just time.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's quite the 180.
Yeah.
Good for him. Now he's making money on booze.
You got to have the side hustle. It's signature instruments and booze.
Yep. Gig economy.
How is it? How is the beer,
It's
Mike?
good.
Is it worth
Everything
it?
they put out is great. So, like I said, this is the more mild of the bunch, and it's very noticeable. But grab a 12-pack. It's amazing. There's not one in there that I dislike. So, yeah. So I guess let's kick this off with Face to Face, and mostly focusing on Big Choice, but we can go to whatever album we end up with and however it takes us. So I guess I'll let Shane kick this off and tell us a little bit about where you first got into them and why they've stuck with you for so long.
Yeah, I gotta say, Face to Face, out of all the punk rock bands for me growing up, they were the ones that really made the indent. It was back when you're, you know, stockpiling CD upon CD, and that cover of the Big Choice album really popped out. A buddy of mine had it, and I listened to it, and the opening song, I'm trying to
Struggle.
remember what it was. Struggle.
Yep.
Grabbed me right away. Oh my god! And AOK, You Lied, Big Choice. I mean, it was such a cool experience to listen to something like that. And then they came to Kelowna when I was like really, really digging them. They were touring with a punk rock band, ska band called Buckle 9. And they played in this little theater in like the Lower Mission part of Kelowna, a small little, maybe 200 people in there, but packed. And Buckle 9 was amazing. And about an hour into the show, they made an announcement saying that they just got a call saying that Face to Face had been delayed at the border, and they were still going to be like at least another hour. So Buckle 9 hit us with everything they had, and it was probably almost a 3-hour set for those guys by the time Face to Face got there. And Face to Face stepped on that stage, and when you think we'd all be done, because it was one of those little venues, like, and the stage was probably hip high, you know, and you had everybody jumping into the crowd, and my buddy Chris, he's probably about 6'6", and I remember looking up at one point, he came just like a bomb off of the PA down onto my face with a size 15 Doc Mart. You know, it was one of those shows. And Face to Face came on, and I'm sure we were all like tired and almost ready to leave. They stepped onto that stage and they destroyed. They lit into us for about another hour and a half, 2 hours. And that was my very first punk rock show. And it was at that time when I was becoming obsessed with this band. And I haven't stopped listening to them since.
Cool.
Yeah, man. And, you know, just before COVID, I had been doing a lot of photography with Doc Willoughby's in Kelowna. I was doing all of their live performances, photographing each show. And I got a call from Colin, the manager there, tapped me on the shoulder, letting me know that Face to Face was coming to Kelowna. And 3 days later, after I was like set to be the photographer for the show, COVID happened. And everything was shut down.
That sucks.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
so who was coming through Doc Willoughby's? Was anybody that you knew coming through there that you were taking pictures of? Or is it just like new stuff?
Well, like they had like a kind of a circuit of local bands going through there, and every so often you get like the Wild came through. I got to photograph the Cancer Bats with Wade McNeil on guitar from Alexis on Fire. That show, the crowd was probably the most insane I had ever seen a crowd before. And the PA actually fell on me when I was photographing the drummer. I was behind there, and 3 speakers came down on me, and I popped my knee, blew my knee like right out. I tried to stick it out for a little while longer, but you know when you could feel like a hot pulse in a part of your body that you just injured? Time to get get out of there.
Good thing it's good you managed to get a lot of really killer shots prior to that. So
thanks, man. Yeah, that was a really cool show. Yeah, no, Doc's had a unique way about it. It was like this place where you'd see like the lead singer of the Wild jumped off the upper balcony into the crowd with the guitar in his hand. I mean, yeah, like you just never see people do that anymore because the insurance, it's such a risky thing to do. But at Doc Willoughby's, you'd see that type of shit like almost all the time. You'd see something like the lead singer of Little Destroyer. She was wearing these big boots and heels. And she pointed out to me on the floor, there are these 1.5 to 2-inch holes, which is where, when it's not a venue for a band, as small as it is, it's where like a couple tables are and they put a railing up there. So the railing just slides down into these holes. And, you know, for most folks, they're not wearing heels, but for some women that are leading a band and they decide to wear that shit, I watched her. She almost popped her knee out when her heel sunk down into one of those holes. And she caught herself like a fucking champ. And I turned it into kind of like a sexy dance. But I talked to her after the show, and she was like, yeah, I almost went down hard. Have you guys heard of a band called Sharp Tooth?
No.
Oh, man. This woman, probably 5 feet tall, mega death roar on this girl. Wicked band. I highly recommend you check out Sharp Tooth sometime. Yeah, they came through Docs, and it was a real joy to photograph those guys. I think they are. Yeah. Yeah, they were one of the opening bands for Cancer Bats.
I'm still kicking myself for missing that show.
Blew me away. Oh man, yeah. Yeah, they do one hell of a Sabotage cover of Beastie Boys.
So good.
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome.
The Cancer Bats are still around, right?
Yes, they are. Yep.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said on that show, that tour, Wade McNeil of Alexis on Fire was in the house for that, and man, what a stage presence that dude has.
Yeah, no doubt.
Wow.
And he's lead singer of Gallows, yeah?
He's the lead singer of the new version of Gallows, yeah.
New version of Gallows. So is he still in Cancer Bats, or has he like...
He was just sitting in... Yeah, he was just sitting in for the little bit there, so... Yeah, fun show. But now it feels like it's so far away with COVID coming, you know? I was so looking forward to Face coming back. I was wondering how they would sound. Probably great. Well, he was in for Scott Middleton, the main guitar player for Cancer Bats, because he had just had a kid. So he took he wasn't able to go on that tour, so that's why he kind of filled in a little bit. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Mike, I watched that documentary that you sent me. For it was like a 2006 farewell to Face kind of thing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was super informative because I had never really listened to them all that much. I don't know why, I just never did.
Right.
And so they kind of wrapped it up, and it seemed like they were done, but like they're back at it now. Shane, you told me like you were going to photograph them and stuff. So when did they come back together? When did they pick it up again?
Probably 2000.
They were, I'm not sure when they all came back together. In 2011, I photographed an award show in Kelowna, and Face to Face and Strung Out were on tour. And they came through Kelowna, opening up for a place called the Sunplex, which is not really a music venue in Kelowna, but they tried it out. And I didn't get a ticket in time before it sold out. So I had a laminate for the award show that said media across it. And I thought, just, why not try? I grabbed my camera and that laminate, and I walked up to the security at the front door as if, I'm there to photograph the band. I flashed that laminate and they let me right in. And then I walked to the stage. I thought I'd push it a bit. And the security at the side stage let me in as well. So I got backstage with Face to Face and Strung Out. And I got there just as Strung Out was finished up their last couple songs. And I was ready, and I had chatted with the boys at Face to Face, just letting them know I was going to be on the stage, side stage. And I got all these pictures of them. And forever, I thought I had lost these pictures until this podcast came up. And I started digging for them, and I found them. And I'm amped that I found them. I got like 16 of them. So
one of the few really great things about Facebook. You can find things that you've lost that you posted years ago.
Well, I had a computer crash on me, and I lost a whole bunch of work. And Face to Face was one of those projects. And but not before I had posted my favorites onto my Facebook page. That was back in 2011. So I was able to go all the way back
Very cool.
back into time there. And
very
there
cool.
they are.
Yeah, it's 2011 would have been when they came back on their deal, because I think the last album that they shut down was 2002. So yeah.
Okay.
And I listened to the other documentary that you sent, Mike.
Yeah.
I was cleaning today and I was listening to that, and it's funny because I don't know if you've seen that, Shane, or not. That I think it was 94 is the first one that you sent.
Yeah, I think it was. They were both. One of them was like it was later than that.
99 maybe.
Just kind of following them on the road and telling road stories and that sort of deal. So.
Yeah. And I don't know, they talked about Big Choice in that documentary, and they all hate that album. Like everybody in the band, they
Isn't
were
that
like,
funny?
yeah, they were like, they didn't like the way that it was recorded. They didn't like the way that it was produced. And they're like, there's some good songs on it, but they're like, that is the band's least favorite album, which I think it's because interesting.
Well, I think it's because they played it for so long that I guess you kind of get sick of it after a while. And then it comes to the point where that is the album that the fans expect from you. So when you come out with their next album, Face to Face or Ignorance is Bliss, and they make this huge change, I'm pretty sure it was Ignorance is Bliss, where they kind of, it went from like a rock, it went from like a punk rock deal to more of a rock album. And you know, the fans didn't seem to take that too well. So, I mean, when you look at your past, it's like, you know, you're always compared to your biggest album kind of thing, or your most popular album. And I think that's probably the case with that.
Right. Disconnected was like their biggest single, right? Like ever.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's on Big
I think
Choice.
so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that's probably why they didn't like it for sure. I think that's a huge part of it. But yeah, with them talking about it through that documentary, it was interesting. And their favorite album is the self-titled one. That's the one they're most proud of. So they talked about that too, but that was because they asked them what their least favorite album, and they all agreed. So it was funny, but that's probably got to be part of it, having your biggest hit on there.
Because it was such a solid album too. I mean, you look at "Don't Turn Away" in '92. The songs were solid on it, but it was so. It was their first record. They didn't have a lot of money backing it, so I mean the mixing and the recording weren't great, but the songs were awesome, right? So I mean, if they could have had "Don't Turn Away" with the same production and money behind it as Big Choice, that would have been, you know, a different story for that. And I guess that one only they recorded and mixed it within 2 weekends, so like 4 days.
Yeah, they said it was recorded in a week, and they said it sounds like it's recorded in a week. That's what they said in the documentary.
But with Big Choice, it was like 10 days too, which is awesome to cram that much, you know, solid material into 10 days of recording. That's pretty kick-ass. So
wow. Well, the song "I Want" from that, oh my God, there was somebody made a surf video. I remember seeing it on TSN or some shit back in the day, and I stopped because I recognized the sound, even though I wasn't really familiar with that album. And it was "I Want" by Face to Face off of that album. And man, what a kick-ass way to have a surf video edit to that song. That opening guitar riff, love it. Awesome. I want to go surfing.
Shane, I got a question for you. Because, like I said, I wasn't really, you know, I was kind of into other stuff, and I wasn't familiar with Face to Face. Let's put it that way. But watched this movie. Mike sent me the link last week, and it seems like this album, Big Choice, is the first one or the only one off Victory Music. And before this was Fat Records, right? And it seems like Fat Records did them a disservice, or just like completely like passed them up.
They talked about that in the first documentary, actually, right. And they tried to give that guy a cut of the deal, the Fat Rec, that side of it. They tried to cut him in, and they said, "We're basically getting bigger than your label is. Like we're
time,
growing
yeah.
faster than you are. So they're like, we'll cut you in. You basically have to do nothing, and you'll just get a cut of our royalties. And they said that they like had a falling out with him, like some big thing. And they said even to this day, which was like again in '99, they said that there's still like hard feelings between him and like the band.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I was wondering, so do you think that's because, like, you know, there was a little bit of jealousy? Like, they kind of remind me of NoFX a little bit, but do you think like Fat Mike just sort of like, you know, tossed them aside because he was a bit jealous? Or
Oh, man. Who knows? Hard to say. Be interesting to be a fly on the wall in some of those discussions back in those days, because that was when I came into Face to Face, was when I was really moving away from rap hip hop, and I was getting a real sweet tooth for punk. And I have no idea if that was the case. I would love to find out though. Wouldn't you?
yeah, absolutely. I'm sure. I mean, like the politics behind, you know, whatever, you know,
Oh man.
I would say punk rock record label, I'm sure is like, there's a ton of drama behind it and stuff like that. And like, not that I'm really like dying to know, but just watching that documentary, I was like, I wonder why Fat Records passed them. I wonder why.
I think it was only a partial deal, though. I don't think it was like a full signing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
Fat Mike wouldn't give them a full deal. It was something like, well, you guys have already, like, the album's already out. That's going to make you big kind of thing. And you've already got your royalties. So this is what you're going to get. And it's like next to nothing. Or I think he even made them buy like the guys in NoFX, or the guys in Fat Records televisions. Like everyone who worked for Fat Records was bought a television from Face to Face in order to stay on the label.
No way.
Yeah. Like bizarre shit.
That's
like that.
wild.
Very weird.
Wow.
Oh man. I'm curious with Fat Mike, and because I have to plead a bit of ignorance here. Is he the one behind like the Survival of the Fattest? Is that from Fat Records?
Yeah, I think that was the first compilation release they did.
That was something that was played often. The guy I was speaking about earlier, Ashley Mail, whenever you came into the photo lab, because that's where my photography started, was back in high school. And Ashley was always pumping Ministry.
We just talked about that.
Oh yeah, pumping Ministry. Yeah, pumping Ministry, or pumping like Corrosion of Conformity, Old School White Zombie, or that Survival.
So I was thinking Fat Music
album.
for Fat People, Volume 1. That was the one I was thinking.
Yeah, no, I don't know if. Yeah, no, like it had some really great artists on there, Lagwagon. Like, what is it, May 15th or something? May 16th by Lagwagon was on there. And oh my God, I fell in love with Lagwagon. I was wondering if Face to Face was ever a part of those compilations.
Face to Face was on Fat Music for Fat People, Volume 1 for sure. And that was one of the earliest ones that they had. You've Got a Problem from.
I don't see him. So this
From Don't
Survival
Turn
of
Away.
the Fattest was dropped in '96.
Yeah, so that would have been later, because this one was.
Okay.
How was this one? I think this was probably 92. So yeah, this was the only one that I really knew. So.
Yeah, they said in that other documentary too that they went on tour with Lagwagon to Europe, and nobody in Face to Face had ever been out of the state like before, but they just jumped on the plane, which again they said in this documentary that everybody in the band can't stand flying, like it just freaks them out. But they went on this tour with Lagwagon, and they're like, you know, who is gonna like know Lagwagon? This is like 92, and you know, and they're like, nobody's gonna know who these guys are. And then all of a sudden they got there, and like everybody's just like singing their songs like in front of them and going on this little tour in Europe, but everybody knew their shit. And they went to Japan, and same thing. They said it's like these Japanese kids coming out. None of them speak English, but they're all just like chanting all their stuff in English, like their whole like set list, just like from beginning to end. They can barely hear themselves like even play because these Japanese kids are just belting it out. So I was like, that's pretty cool. And they're like, yeah, we didn't want to come home. Like it was just
So
that
big,
much
so
fun,
fast.
right? Like, yeah, had such a good time doing that. But but it's the old story of living in your van and touring with all their stuff, like all their merchandise, and like trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
So
Lagwagon came through Kelowna, and they played at a place that's now called Gotham.
Yep.
Back then it was Level. And I'm not sure if you guys have ever been to that venue, but it's like, it's like a circular 2-floor above the main stage area where people just kind of hang off and look down. You look like right down above the drum
kind of thing. It's rad.
It's it just goes down. It's almost like that Thunderstruck video for ACDC where you got everybody around. Remember that?
Yeah.
Not as big, obviously, but like
So
a couple
cool.
floors of that. And I had to fight my way in to get a good spot right above the drummer of Lagwagon because I just wanted to see that maniac go at it with one foot pedal. What he does is insane, that boy. And then I did that for a while. Then I went down onto the main floor, and the guitarist of Lagwagon has got to be like 7 foot tall. He's the tallest guitarist I've ever seen. And I'm like, how do you do that with those massive? Imagine being on tour and you're like an NBA basketball player height. Like that's got to be absolute torture.
You can't just fall asleep in the
guitar
van.
looks like a toy, like when he's playing it, right?
Yeah.
It does. It does. Oh man, he was drinking a beer and like it looked like he was like pinching, like he was like giving a measurement for like a little prick. It was like that's how he was like holding a whole beer can with like looked like 2 inches separating his hand, but a whole beer can fit like that right in between it. His hands were so big.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
Are those guys still around?
I don't think so.
I think they're still going. I don't know if they have any new material. I haven't checked it out, but I'm pretty sure I follow them on Instagram there from time to time, and they're still doing things.
They are.
So,
89 to present.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Have they come up with anything recently? Like I haven't.
Yeah, they had like a pretty badass song about, it was like a fun, some social political commentary, a song called Cog in the Wheel. And it's a pretty badass tune for Lagwagon.
Well, they got a 2019 album with a awesome album cover. Railer. Oh, look at that album cover. That is fantastic.
Mike, does this remind you of that Fu Manchu?
Fu Manchu, Action is Go.
Right? It's like the same font and everything.
Yeah, it looks
hilarious.
Yeah, bring that up. Bring up Fu Manchu, Action is Go. It's exactly the same.
I'm doing that right now.
That's so great.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's awesome.
Okay, close.
It looks like it though.
Whoops, hit play. Okay, what's the one after this? No, this is the one you're talking about.
Yeah, the Action is Go.
It's pretty close. Pretty close. Yeah.
But it's funny because we knew the exact same. It's the same font, like same thing. We called it. I'm gonna have to check this out now. 2019. I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's funny. But going back to Lagwagon, they were like the gateway for me, anyway, to like the gateway sort of pop punk band. Like I had been into like we did a show before on like No Means No and like that sort of stuff. But like Lagwagon was the first kind of like, were they on Fat Records? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everything they put out from 92 to 2003 was solid. Like there was not one album in there that, for their catalog, there was nothing in that I ever skipped. And it's still fun going back to it quite often. So
yeah, it's fun. It's good stuff. And I think that's sort of what like took up the space as far as like, my interest in punk, pop punk, whatever you want to call it, skate punk music. And I just never really like gravitated towards Face to Face because I was just like, Lagwagon and No Means No, or sorry, No Effects.
There was a lot going on too, right?
Yeah, Melancholy. Listen to them. Melancholy. Sorry, listen to them a lot.
Melancholy was good. Strung Out, Offspring Smash was out at that time.
Right.
You got No Effects, Drunken Punk and Drublick. You got Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. You got Rancid. You got Fugazi.
Yeah.
You got Pennywise, Descendants.
You know what I listened to?
Propagandhi, Unreal, great Canadian band.
Did you guys ever listen to?
Did you guys ever listen to
Snuff.
Snuff?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, Snuff.
Yep.
Oh
No,
no,
Snuff.
Snuff. SNFU. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
SNFU, yeah. They were ripping at that time too. Yeah, no, Snuff is like a British punk rock band. I highly recommend give it if you could find Tweet My Lovely, which is the album name. Man, nice little hidden gem there for you. Really fun.
Down by Law. Did you guys ever listen to Down by Law?
Yep.
Oh, where did that come from?
Down by
Mike?
Law.
Oh, I listened to Down by Law. Like out of all those bands, that was kind of the one that I listened to the most out of all those kind of skate punk bands.
Yeah, I had two of their albums. Were pretty
Yeah,
good.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of stuff too that kind of bordered like out on the outer edges of punk rock. You know, like Green Day was just getting big there as well. You know, like you had a lot of those kind
Rancid.
of fun bands
Oh
as
my
well
God.
popping up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out Come the Wolves. That album was killer.
Out Come the Wolves.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a lot of there was a lot of
Hell yeah.
competition in that too, and I think that's kind of where Face to Face kind of had issues with their follow up albums. I mean, you put out Big Choice, which is huge, and then try to follow that up with Face to Face, but there's this big wall of everybody else that's putting out, brilliant albums. So,
When did Matt, the bass player, leave? Because I think he was one of the founding members, and that was probably like, a big blow to them. Did he leave before Big Choice, or was that right
I
after?
think it was after, wasn't it on Face to Face? I don't recall. I think it was I think it was after.
Okay.
I think.
And then he later, he didn't form, but he joined No Use for a Name.
Yeah.
Oh man, I
Okay.
haven't heard that name in a long time.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh man,
That's saying.
we're just missing like our rocking chairs and like whittling sticks.
Oh, yeah.
Cooler
Yeah.
of like Coors
Tea.
Light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Back in my day.
You got to admit, man, like we're going to be some pretty fun old people.
Gonna be. We're already
some really great. I know. Just I'm living
Our
in-
generation of seniors are going to be the coolest seniors that have ever been around. There's no question about it. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. It reminds me of that like Banksy piece where it's like two mice in rocking chairs. One's like crocheting Thug Life, and the other one's crocheting like Skate or Die.
It's
That's
always funny
us,
when
man.
I was delivering mail to these old folks' homes, and you get to some of them, and they're playing this 1920s kind of softer music in the background, and that's just kind of they're lingering around and got their walkers and listen to 1920s and 30s and 40s music, and
Yeah, but back then
funny.
jazz was dangerous.
this is the softer side though.
It's true.
If they were playing that rad jazz, that would be great. But
Oh yeah.
Oh, and that 1940s music, they don't even
Yeah.
know how good the 1920s were. Like, they don't even get it, right? Like,
I don't even know, man.
that's garbage, 1940s. Garbage.
You needed a band
Yeah.
with
Yeah, get that
18
shit out of here.
brass instruments and a band leader.
Your band leader sucks.
But it's funny because I was at my buddy's place last night, and he's from Adelaide, Australia. And just because, I've been doing a little bit of research on another band from the early 90s, and I asked him about it. And he was like, no, mate, we just had this one channel that had, it was like, what did he call it? It was called Rage. And so like once a week, this channel would play like grungy music, and that was all he really had to like listen to like the new up and coming bands. But he showed me some of the stuff that he listened to, like some of the Australian stuff, and it was like hardcore music. It was good, But some of them were Christian rock, and he's like, yeah, we didn't even care. We just like got in there and like threw our elbows around. It was like awesome, mate. And it's funny. I'm going off on a tangent here, but he was like, one of the bands was called Entombed 1214.
Sweet.
And like, obviously, I think that's like a reference from the Bible or something like that. And we just had a laugh about it. But yeah, it's interesting, just like our generation talking about like what we had access to and what we listened to. And then you talk to someone from like Australia where they were just like on a completely different like vibe completely. And then, you sort of find that middle ground, and it's just like good music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Entombed 1214. Check them out.
Have you listened to him?
Sweet.
He played a little bit from his phone, and it was like, I mean, it could have been Sepultura. Like it just sounded like, hardcore, aggressive music.
Yeah.
But with a Christian message behind it.
Always.
But that's all they had, right? He like went to the local whatever. And that's all they had.
Resources are limited.
Yeah. Yeah. But I asked him about a couple of bands, and he was like, no, mate, no. He didn't have like the access that we had. He didn't have like the much music, and that was like the
what did you
pipeline.
ask him? Did you ask him like Metallica or like?
Well, because I've been doing a little bit of research on Faith No More, and then I got into like a giant Mike Patton black hole over the past day and a half.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And there's just so much. And so I just asked, like, were you into a band called Faith No More back in the day? He was like, no. But we had this channel called Rage.
Yeah. Well, they had different musical gatekeepers there, so
yeah,
you only heard what was allowed to be heard, basically. So, like radio stations here only chose to play the best of the best, whatever selling songs that the record labels were forcing on you, right? So
yeah, most definitely.
Only so many bands could get on the radio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like the the bands like Metallica that just hit everywhere, every continent. Everyone listens to them, and so.
Well, that was only after the Black Album, so.
I guess I'm not. Yeah, I don't know, but, yeah. Sorry, a bit of a segue there, gentlemen.
No, that's good. When's the last time you've seen Face to Face, Shane?
Was that the 2011 show?
That was the 2011 show. I photographed them, and afterwards they were drinking some Quails Gate wine, local winery up there in Kelowna. And I got to sit with them for a bit, have a glass of wine with them, and I exchanged information. Like I had cards for them. They never followed up. Never heard back from them. But that was the last time I saw them. So you could imagine my excitement when I get a call saying that I get to be the photographer for the show in Kelowna. It wasn't at Doc Willoughby's either. It was at a venue there called Sapphire. Sapphire was going to be hosting Face to Face on the tour as they were coming through from Vancouver to Calgary. They weren't initially going to make a stop, but I guess Colin had been talking with their management and talked them into stopping in Kelowna. And man, what a kick in the nuts. I had that opportunity and experience to photograph them in 11. And so 2020, this was going to be like my other chance to see these guys, and I was so curious to see how they were going to perform all these years later. Yeah, that would have been it. That would have been the one. I hope that we get back to some level. I'm sure there's a lot of different ways that we can improve how music is done and how our live performances go, but I got to tell you, I don't know about you guys, I'm really hankering for a sweaty mosh pit. Like I could really go for one.
I'll be honest, man. I haven't been in a mosh pit in many, many years. I don't know. I got old with that early. I feel like, I almost like wanted to sit at the back and like watch what was going on stage, and I kind of like feels like I got that out of my system almost. But I hear you on going back to a show because like I don't really know when that's gonna happen, right? Like I'm not sure what's going on, and you know, it's sad to know that that may not be back for a while. It's been long enough already, like I've had tickets pass me by already, man. And it's just like, yeah, it's been a long time. So,
yeah. If you guys could go to a show, what would it be?
Dead or
alive?
Alive?
The doors open, if all the gates open up tomorrow.
If the gates open up tomorrow, you could step into a new reality of something that it used to be like, you had a chance in 2020 to see a band. Who would it be? Hit me with it. Who's the headliner?
Dead or Alive?
Right fucking now.
They got to be touring right now?
They got to be touring. They got to be alive, ready to go tour right now.
I got a bunch of follow-ups here.
Let's keep mostly realistic.
A recent release or
mostly realistic?
No, man. A band that is together right now in 2020. And maybe you've heard something from them recently, like we were talking about Lamb of God and that amazing album they just put out. Or if it's something that hasn't been released yet, like the new Deftone. Like they're a band that's still together right now. Who would you see? And let's have some fun with this, man. Where would you see them? I'll tell you mine. I want to see Gojira live because they just released a new single that's pretty badass. I want to see them, and I want to see the Deftones open for them because that was supposed to happen in Tacoma this summer, and everything's dead. So that would be what I would want to see. Those two guys together. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I'd have to go. I'd probably say Slipknot. I would say. Ooh. I know. I was telling in a past episode I had an opportunity to see them on their very. I guess it would. Maybe their first tour, it was early enough. Their very first album came out and no one knew who they were. And I had an opportunity to see them in Edmonton, and I unfortunately had to miss that. But I'd see Slipknot. I'd see Dropkick Murphys in Boston. And it would be timed with a Bruins game. That would be the big
all at the same time.
All at the same time. You go there and that
at the same time.
Yeah. One night after the other. I'm good with that. That would be killer. So yeah.
Nice weekend away. Nice. What do you guys think? You guys got anything in mind? I know I put everybody on the spot there.
Go, Dane.
Oh man.
A little bit of Jack Johnson.
Glad it picked you first because I'm give me a little more time.
Here's some time.
It's Jack Johnson.
In my basement.
In your basement.
By the fire.
I'll buy you a little bit more time. Did any of you see that video of Alexis on fire in John's in that Strompanopolis basement deal?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
you need to find that on the YouTubes. There, it's
Strombo's
unreal.
House.
House of Strombo.
Oh, House of Strombo.
Yeah. If dig that out, watch that tonight. It's amazing. Fantasy gig. I think it would be rad to be in a venue like that small, that close to the band, and even that Alexis show would be unreal.
Cool, man.
Be cool to see. Yeah,
George Stroumboulopoulos.
It's awesome. He's got a whole series of that.
He's looking rough these days.
That's cool.
Sure is. Yeah. It looks like he's on something. Like, I'm not sure what it is, but every episode I see him with, it's like, you don't look like you did before. That's for sure. I guess we're all getting older, but sorry, George.
Well, he hosted that Strombo show on the old CBC there, the radio show. And that's where I first heard
Really?
Gojira was on the fucking CBC. Yeah. I was driving home. I was in Kelowna, and I was driving to go visit my dad here in Vernon. And it was a Sunday night, and George Stroumboulopoulos is talking in that cool radio voice of his, and he's setting up the next song, and I could hear it kind of building in the background. And the song is called Vivant Sauvage. Oh my God. I'm driving and I'm like, what the hell is this?
So great.
What is this? And I'm just I got goose pimples all over listening to this song that I was definitely not expecting on the old CBC. But oh my goodness, it hit me with a sense of love. I really enjoyed that one. And then I had to go and Google what was on that show because it was killing me. I had no way of.
It's like Christmas.
Oh my God, it was.
So
what
great.
A present! What a gift! Yeah, they're now like one of my favorite top 5 favorite metal bands ever. Sure, a French band with Japanese name Gojira, which apparently means Godzilla.
Apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the top metal bands. You know, now if not of all time. I haven't
Have you guys heard their new single?
I've got all their earlier albums. The last thing I bought from them was a while ago. I picked up a 2-disc Blu-ray live / tour kind of video with a lot of on the bus things, and that was
it all in French?
Cool. Most of it is, yeah.
Cool. I saw a live massive festival in Poland. God, it must have been like 100,000 people. Just massive. And they get the crowd all like dizzy in a frenzy with like a wheel of death. I mean, I've seen some big, like those, like where everybody gets going in a circle, but they started with that. And then they got everyone to separate one side to the other. I had seen this done once at a Warped Tour with what are they called? Super fun, like punk band.
Okay.
The Used were up on stage, and they got everybody to separate. Like he was saying, it was like Braveheart. I want the English over here. I want the Scottish over here. And when we give her, I want you guys to come together. And they did that shit in Poland with Gojira. You see everybody come together. They have a drone up in the
Wicked.
Amazing. Gojira live in Poland. Check that shit. That was back in like 2017. Amazing.
Cool. It's going on my list right now.
Yeah. Oh man. Cool. Yeah. One of those big festivals would have been something, Never been to like a big massive one like that.
I think that might be a little too much for me anyway.
I've been to a few and they're fun.
Gotta do it once. Lollapalooza, or not Woodstock, 1999. That would have been my choice right there. Just throwing big mud patties at Rick.
Damn.
He was out there. Go hit Billy Joel with Green Day and the guitar with a big mud pie. That would have been fun.
All right, Mike. Band in place.
You talking to me?
Yeah. We bought you some time there, pal.
Oh, you're turning the tables, Dane, on me. That's all right.
You got to be quick in this game. Got to be quick.
If I'm
quick draw,
put on the spot and have to do it like just right off the cuff. I think I'd like to see Iggy Pop in a like small New York club. I think that would be my pick. Bam. I'd like to see the Stooges or Iggy Pop, or I'd like to see 2 different shows with one half the Stooges, one half Iggy Pop. And I think that guy still would put on a good show.
Probably.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's my pick.
Totally agree.
Good one.
Totally agree.
All
right, Dave.
I'm divided right now. I've been listening to a lot of Behemoth lately, and they put on a very scary live show.
Yep.
But if I'm going to be honest with you, I think it'd be like Luke Combs in a honky tonk somewhere in Nashville.
That's awesome.
I think.
Oh, nice, man. Good old honky tonk throwdown.
Yeah. It'd be a fun time.
That's
But
a little bit
runner
from
up.
everybody.
Nice.
Runner up would definitely be Behemoth, probably.
Sweet.
I'd say Poland or something like that.
Wicked.
I gotta say, if I could see a punk rock show, since Face to Face is our topic, and since they were so goddamn close, and Lagwagon's still together, Strung Out's still together, that's a trio right there. Wouldn't mind seeing those boys all come back together as one. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Speaking of like punk rock and coming together, so who here saw the Smalls? Mike, I know you did. Shane, you did.
Totally. I did, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they came through Vernon.
Did they? Wow.
Yeah, they played at the rec center here.
Yeah. Where did you see him, Dane?
Yeah, the Smalls.
I didn't. I wasn't here. But you did, I thought. Didn't you?
Well, I saw him at Reds. I saw him on their farewell
Was
tour
it that
there.
farewell show?
Yeah.
That was like
Goodbye Forever. That one, yeah.
2002, 2003, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, Goodbye Forever. And then we saw him again at that
Was it in Calgary?
festival. And
second time?
No, it was in Edmonton. It was some festival there. Sonic put it on the radio station there, but they played there, and they were pretty tight. Like they messed up a couple times, but you know, they kind of owned it. But it, you know, like they're still so good, man. And it was funny because there's a guy here in town who I see around, and he wears a small shirt. And like I finally got a chance to talk to him because I was like, "Hey, man, like nobody else likes the Smalls. Like, talk to me. Like, you know, where did you get this
to
from?
each
Like,
his
where are you
own.
from? Yeah, right. Like, so yeah, that's kind of where it's at. And I mean, we were supposed to see Corb here. He was playing Roots and Blues in town, so we had tickets to go and see him. But now that's a virtual altered space experience or something like that. They're doing it all online, so. He's doing a tribute to Ian Tyson now. So that's the best you get. But at any rate, yeah, no, Smalls were good. But my wife, Nicole, saw him a whole bunch more too. Like she saw, that's like her top band of all time. Like if she could pick one, that's her band. So
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's her favorite band. So when she couldn't see Corb this summer, it was like a little bit of a gut punch. So
yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of gut punches this summer, wasn't there? There's a lot of great music lined up.
But
yeah, bummer. Yeah, the Smalls, man. I remember watching them at the rec center. We got right side stage with them, and just watching the drummer of that band do his thing. Man, thrashing those drums apart. It's awesome. Vernon, of all places, has had some ridiculous shows.
It's just these tiny little middle stops that are never promoted. You know, you find out about it 3 days before they come into town. Or
Dane, have you been out here to Vernon before?
I've kind of like just stopping through. I haven't spent more than like
classic.
a day. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's some surprisingly good venues here still. Yeah. And like we have a sporting complex here where our local hockey team plays. And when it was first opened, of all the bands to come and be like the christening show, Anthrax opened up for Judas Priest. when this place was built, it was like the first show that was
must have happened just
Was it
before I
good?
moved here, 'cause I moved here in 2009, and I don't remember seeing that.
It was
A
incredible.
lot of high tops at that show, hey?
oh yeah, cons everywhere.
Oh man,
Awesome.
yeah, like
Fucking tight jeans and high tops.
yeah, fucking elevators and pyrotechnics, man. And I went there because I never really got into Judas Priest. I appreciate who they are and what they do. I like their sound now as I'm an older man. But Anthrax was like why I went. You know, we were talking about the days of Much Music and Loud, hosted by a young George Stroumboulopoulos. Anthrax songs, and when I saw them get together with Public Enemy,
game changing.
Oh my god!
Nice. How low can you go?
Oh. Yo. And like songs like Only, you know, Got the Time. Those were like their big single hits up there, you know. And I got sucked in with those. And then all these years later, here comes Anthrax to Little Town Burnin' with Judas Priest. What a delight, man! What a fun show.
I wish I would have caught that one. That would have been killer.
Mm-hmm. My favorite show to ever come through Vernon was Gord Downing.
Yep.
From the Hip. He came through and he just had his own like little band. Wasn't with the Hip. And he brought on the stage. It was like, remember those old school projectors we had back in high school doing notes and shit, right? The teacher would like project all the notes up on the wall. So he brought one of those up on stage with like a bowl of like water.
That's old school.
And yeah, man, he like was drawing on one of those sheets while he was doing like spoken word poetry. He would draw this like little cityscape, all these little buildings and the rectangular windows and little trees. And then he put the bowl over top and he had like red and yellow dye that he would drip into the, like over the windows. And it looked, as it was projected like way up onto the screen behind him, like the city was burning. And like the whole, like the music changed, the feeling changed. And then it turned into like a fun poppy little song. And he invited everybody to come down to the stage because there's a big area there we could go down and dance. He's like, come on, you guys, come on down and dance with us, you know? So me and my date, we like ran down there. We were dancing. I still have this hat. So we're dancing on the dance floor and the stage there is about shoulder height. And as I'm dancing, all of a sudden, somebody took my hat. I'm like, you don't take a bald man's hat. It's like a rule, you know? And I turn around, I'm like, who fucking took my hat? And I look up on stage and Gord Downing has my hat and he's looking at me and he's like, thank you. He puts it on his head. He sings the whole song with my hat on his sweaty fucking head. And you know, song ends, everyone's clapping. He comes back, he takes the hat off, and he gives it back to me and he puts his hand on his heart and he's like, thank you. And he continues on with the show. It was an amazing show. And I told some friends that story and they're like, you never washed that hat, right? And I was like, dude, I fucking washed that shit immediately. He was a very sweaty man, you know? Good old Gord. God bless you. Love you, man. Yeah. Vernon. Yep. Surprises you sometimes.
Oh, you're selling me, man.
Got to come out sometime, dude. It's a beautiful spot. I was just in Kalamalka Lake here, which, like, when the sun and clouds wash over it, man, it turns all these different colors. It's a really cool spot.
Yep. Yeah. Pack up, Dane. Get out here.
I don't know if you have anything like that out in Courtenay.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right here, but no, it's not. I feel as if there's a lot of places, you know, even within this province that I haven't been to. Mm-hmm. Like, I've only lived here for 2 years, and you know, we'll go out for a beer or something with some locals, and they talk about like Lake something or other, or like this like awesome spot up north, and I don't know any of it. So I'm just like, I think I'm in an interesting spot in life where, you know, I still have a lot of stuff where I can just like go to Vernon and like check that out and do some exploring in my home province now, home country. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the blessings of this whole COVID thing. Instead of going out to travel, which is what I used to do all the time, now it's like, you know, check out your home. Right. You know, like check out. Yeah, BC is so big. There's so much to see here that I haven't seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So face to face.
Face to face.
We're talking about
all
like
right.
everything
It's-
else. I guess that happens.
It's
on
like
these.
the podcast is called Chasing the Topic.
Good one, man. Good
Yeah.
one.
Oh man.
So, do we want to end this off with any other kind of notes, or
I just want to say, like, whoever, if this ever reaches the ears of the boys at Face to Face, whenever this shit ends, this whole COVID nightmare, and we get a chance to see you guys again, please come back to Kelowna. Folks out here love you. Please come back. It would just be incredible to see you guys and bring one of your other legendary mid-90s bands with you. Fuck.
Well said.
there's beautiful lakes, great golfing. Get out here.
That's right. Oh man.
Okay, well, I guess we'll shut this one down.
All right.
Is that cool?
Yeah,
Man.
this has
Thanks a
been
lot
fun,
for
boys. Thanks for
thanks for joining
letting
us.
me come.
Hopefully, we'll be able to have you out again for a couple more. This would be aces. All right.
You bet. You too.
You too, man.
Nice talking to you.